We're going to go ahead and open the meeting at this time for commission meeting. Time is 11:01. I believe we do have a quorum. Mr. Commissioner Adam is here, myself, and Kenneth, are you on?
I don't see him on yet.
So we do have a quorum. We'll just wait for him to connect. First, calling the meeting to order, roll call, invocation. Is there a volunteer to do an opening prayer? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful that we can gather this morning. We're grateful for the democratic process and allows us to participate in government. We pray for those who will talk in the meeting that they'll be good to one another and respectful, and that we'll be able to carry on the business of the county and our government. In these things we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, thank you. Going on, approval of agenda. Mr.
Okay.
McDonald, can you read
Right.
the agenda?
Thank you, Commissioner. What you have today before you on the consent agenda, you have the approval of the commission meeting minutes for November 3rd, 2021, the ratification of annual medical insurance renewal contracts, and the approval of the check registers for October 30th through November 10th, 2021. Under your recognition, presentations, and informational items, you have a consideration and direction to William Cooper and the San Juan County Redistricting Maps. He's provided option B, option C, and option D for the county commission voting districts and the school board member voting districts. There was an adjustment to the school board voting district in there, a correction that was made. So you have an option 2, or option B is what it would be. Under business action items, consideration and approval of truck purchase by TJ Road Superintendent, a consideration and adoption of the updated drug-free workplace policy. That'll be by Anne Marie. You have consideration and approval of the fiscal year 22 violence and injury prevention program grant with the state of Utah Department of Health, San Juan County. This will be Dr. Sonata, Public Health Director, that will present the next 3. Consideration and approval of the childhood lead poisoning prevention and surveillance fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2026 contract with the state of Utah Department of Health in San Juan County, and consideration and approval of public health crisis response workforce supplemental grant contract for fiscal year 2021 through fiscal year 2023 with the state of Utah Department of Health in San Juan County. Item 10, consideration and approval of an interlocal agreement for the West Water Infrastructure Design with Navajo Tribal Utility Authority for the West Water Design. I'll present that. And then item 11, you have consideration and approval of vendor contract with Moab Heat and Cool LLC in San Juan County for HVAC upgrades in the administration building here. I'll present that. Then you have your commission reports there at the end. That is it, Commissioner, for your agenda for today.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Kenneth, are you on?
Looks like he's on now.
I'll second that.
There he is.
Any change add-on or deletion to the agenda? If not, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay? 0. Motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Public comment.
All right, with our public comments, we have several members here in the audience. I don't see anybody signing in, so if you're wanting to make a public comment, please sign in and we'll keep it for the record here. Just as a reminder, public comments are 3 minutes each. Also, just a reminder to be courteous and kind in your comments as you go through them. Just make sure you try to avoid any heated language or arguing or putting down of others. With that being said, I'll also get to those people that are online. If you're wishing to make a public comment and you're online, if you can use your raise your hand function, if you click on your name and select more, there's a feature there. You can raise your hand and then we'll call on you in order as I see your hand raised. If you're unable to work that function and you're just on a cell phone, once I ask for you, if there's any others, then you can unmute yourself at that time. If you're on the phone or on the video, if you're past that 3 minutes, we will mute you and continue to the next person. So with that being said, that's kind of the finer rules of the public comment. And so we'll begin with our first. Hold on, let me grab this list. Got Doug, the only one that signed up in here is just Doug's. Doug Allen. And please just state your name for the record as well as where you reside in the county.
Doug Allen from Monticello, Utah. I'd just like to comment on the redistricting that's on the agenda today. Democrats and Republicans have been battling the state legislature on redistricting the congressional districts this last week, and Democrats aren't happy that they split Salt Lake County into 4 districts. We have a court-ordered districting in San Juan County as a result of lawsuits. I'm looking at the population base here, and I hate to use race as a standard, but the population, the census says so. And my figures on here is that the white, non-Hispanic white is 41.5%, and the Latino is 5.15. That's 46.74. Native Americans with any part or single race, indigenous, are 52.53. If the lawsuit was brought because the Native Americans felt like they weren't being represented well in the San Juan County, and I can understand that at the time, but it doesn't appear to me that the Native Americans are a minority in this county. And every one of these districting things, we have one district that is predominantly white and the others. If you want to do it fair, let's go back to at large. Commissioners, I'm asking you to go back at large, petition, get this court case offer back. The state of Utah Constitution says at large. United States Constitution says that the congressional districts need to be by district. So that's why I'm asking. Let's consider going back to at large. Everybody represents everyone in this county, regardless of race. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, there's nobody else signed up here in the audience to take public comments. I've got a hand raised by Lucille Cody. Go ahead, Lucille.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Okay, good morning. My name is Lucille Cody, and I'm a school board for San School District. And I would like to say that I do not like the part where we separate White Horse High School and Montezuma Creek. So I'm totally against that. So I just wanted the county commissioners to leave things the way they are. That's my comment for this morning.
Thanks, Lucille.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, Tara Vignali. Go ahead, Tara.
Jake, good morning, everyone. My name is Tara Benali. I live in southern San Juan County, Utah. I'm a Navajo and have been a resident of San Juan County and Utah, the state of Utah, most of my life. The redistricting map that I would like for the commissioners to approve is option B, only because they ensure that all commissioners will represent constituencies from both urban and rural areas in the county. This has been something that has been hard fought at the legislative level, and so we would like to see that happen down here as well. Also, they are in compliance with the federal court's redistricting standards, which will protect the county from future litigation and associated costs. Also, another thing is they preserve the core of the 2018 court order district, which reduces confusion for voters by minimizing voters' vote move to new districts. So a lot of these issues that we have faced and working on the ground through a nonprofit organization, I've seen a lot of misrepresentation happening. And so I would really like to encourage the commissioners to vote on Commission Districting B. Also, the same with the school district map. We would like to see the B approved as well, with some minor changes to it. Another thing that I would like to encourage Mr. Cooper to do is maybe have 2 or 3 public hearings in place for Southern San Juan County. That way we can get the people to participate and help to make public comment as well and know what they're facing, where the redistricting maps are at currently. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Let me turn this off. And we'll get to you. Okay, Leonard. I think no other hands are raised. Go ahead, Leonard. I see you.
Hey, thank you very much, and good morning to all of those in the audience, and plus the commissioners and folks online. My name is Leonard Gorman. I am the director for the Office of Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. As a part of our role, the Navajo Nation government has assigned my office to represent the Navajo Nation in all redistricting activities that involve Navajo voters and those redistricting activities that impact the Navajo people. So we're involved in New Mexico, Arizona, and also Utah redistricting activities. So comments on the proposals and iterations submitted by Mr. William Cooper, commission and school board plans. Regarding those plans such as D and C that are submitted, I think those are intended to address the requests made by the Blanding community to ensure that the entirety of the city, wherever possible, would be within one district. I think that is a clear indication and illustration under options C and D that compromise the aspects of the Voting Rights Act, including the principles of the redistricting. Question would be answered, what is the community relationship, community of interest between Navajo Mountain or Jayto, Denahotso with Spanish Valley? The answer is none. There's no community of interest. So if you see District 2 running all the way from the western corner of the county to the northeast corner, there's no community relationships at all. So that presents a challenge and a concern. Likewise for District 3, in both proposals, options B, C, and D, they present challenges in the area of community of interests. Then finally on the option B aspects, there is a concern from our office that District 3 presents a challenge in the area of the need to unpack that district into perhaps District 2, so that there is a balance of Native American voting age population between Districts 2 and 3. I think that's a concern. My office also submitted this morning an alternative plan for the commission. And although that's not on the agenda, I think that's something of worthy discussing because of that balance that is attempted to be reached between Districts 2 and 3 on the commission side. To the school board plans, both A and B present challenges in the area of packing District 5, which is the Western District. It's over 80% Native American voting age population. It is entirely unnecessary to pack one district with that level of Native American voting age population. It needs to be unpacked so that it could share those Native American voting age population among 4 districts of the 5. And those would be Districts 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Navajo Nation submitted a plan this morning that has District 2 at 27% Native American voting age population, District 4 at 78%, District 3 at 65%, and also District 5 at 79%, and close to 80%. But I think there is an opportunity to further satisfy the Voting Rights Act with regards to District 2 in the school board plan. I think there's an opportunity to increase Native American voting age population in District 2 to reach the probability of having that become an influence Native American district, which translates to, at the end when adopted, that there would be 3 Native Americans in these districts that can elect the candidates of their choice. And then the 4th one would be District 2 that has the opportunity to influence the results of the elections in District 2. So those are my comments, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thanks, Leonard. Anyone else? Let's see, I've got a Jeff Begay raised his hand. Okay, Jeff, go ahead. You can unmute yourself there. Still showing that you're muted.
Okay, there it is.
Okay,
sorry. Yeah, my name is Jefferson Begay, and I am a resident of Navajo Mountain, Utah. Based on the comments I heard, I am also in favor of option B, to represent our Navajo community and to participate in funding from the county for the benefit of the Navajo community, would have an equal status in funding opportunities and also voting. So that is primarily the comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands raised. Is there anyone else that's on the phone that would like to make a public comment? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Just state your name and where you live within the county.
Good morning. This is Nelson Yellowman, school board member for District 5. I represent Navajo Mountain School and the Monument Valley Schools. My comment is that I'm in favor of holding for the Mr. Cooper to do more presentation of the maps in the southern part of the county in regards to the comments and the recommendations made by Leonard Gorman with the Navajo Nation Human Rights Office. And at this point, I am not going to make a recommendation on which option, but that would be my first choice, is to look at everything that has been mentioned by Mr. Gorman. So I would hopefully hope that the commissioners will be acceptable to ask for Mr. Cooper's public hearings in the southern part of San Juan County regarding these districts. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody else unmute themselves, Commissioner. That is all you have today for your public comments.
Thank you. Continuing, I guess we'll go to consent agenda.
I'll make a motion. We approve the 3 items on the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Adams.
I will second that.
Thank you. Any question? Any comment? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed, motion carries. Next, Mr. Cooper.
All right, we do have the consideration and direction to William Cooper, or from William Cooper, the San Juan County Redistricting Maps. Let me pull those up. Mr. Cooper, I don't know if I see you online. Go ahead and should be able to unmute yourself. And then we'll turn the time over to you. Let me get to where we're at. I don't know.
I am on now. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a lot to say today because I want to compliment you, Max, for putting the maps on your website so that people could take a look at the different plans. in detail, both using the PDF maps and also Dave's redistricting application, which does allow you to draw your own plan. So we now have 4 commission plans that I've drawn, plus the one that Leonard Gorman has prepared that I have not yet seen. And I'm aware of another one now that was developed this morning by the auditor's office. So there are now 6 commission plans and just 2 school board plans. And I'm not really trying to shortchange the school board plans. Well, 3 counting Leonard's plan that I haven't yet seen. But I was sort of holding off because I don't have information really about the attendance zones for the schools. And also, I should point out right at the top that in many ways, option A really is off the table. First of all, I do think inadvertently Montezuma Creek area did lose the high school location to District 3 when it should have been in District 4. And also, school board member Mr. Black was inadvertently placed in District 4. So option B should correct both of those problems. Mr. Black is now back in District 3. He lives outside of the city limits of Blanding. I thought he lived inside. And Whitehorse High School is back in District 4. But I don't know exactly where the attendance zones are for the schools in the county. So there could be some reason to perhaps make modifications to line things up a little bit better for the attendance zones. So if anyone has a map, I would appreciate it. But in any event, option B, I believe, really is the only viable school board plan on the table from my end now. Of course, I haven't seen Mr. Gorman's plan, but he has pointed out that the option B, which was really designed to minimize changes compared to the court-ordered plan, does in some ways fail to balance out the indigenous population, the Navajo population mainly, between some of the districts. So that could be changed. That might also require some modifications or splits of chapters. I'm not sure. Maybe Mr. Gorman, well, I will get a look at his map and prepare some maps that reflect that, or maybe he already has. But it would be interesting to know whether any of the chapters are split. And if they are, of course, that's okay. The court-ordered plan split chapters as well. So there are plenty of options out there. It's just a matter of taking consideration all the factors, and it's up to the commission to choose one. And I am perfectly happy with whatever the commission chooses. I'm just a person who will be producing some of the plans, but the community is welcome to get involved in this, and it's not at all unusual for a community to get involved. In most places nowadays, community members submit plans, and in some cases, those plans are actually adopted by the jurisdiction at issue, whether it be a county commission or a school board. I know I've been involved in helping some community groups in Baltimore County, Maryland, that has about 1 million people in it. I'm not exaggerating, that's about what the population is. And they have 7 city county council districts, and there are groups all over the county developing plans. Some of them are being developed on Dave's redistricting application. And I would encourage you that if you have a thought about how you think a plan should be drawn, to check out Dave's redistricting application. It's not that hard to learn, and you could produce a plan that may be more in line with your expectations. We are now looking at option B, school board, and that is the one that fixes the issue insofar as Mr. Black is concerned in District 3 and moves the district moves the line a little bit in back to where it used to be in District 4, so that Whitehorse High is in District 4. And it doesn't make many changes elsewhere compared to the earlier plan, very minor shifts. I believe in this instance, I changed, I think I shifted one of the chapters in this plan from one district to another because the court order plan was not meeting one person, one vote. It had an overall deviation of 15%, which meant that one district was underpopulated by 10%. I believe that was District 4, and District 5 was overpopulated by 5. And so the population has to be shifted a little bit. It's not necessary to arrive at a zero deviation plan. That's always a good option, and that's what the court encouraged in 2018. So I've sort of tried to do that with these plans. The two plans that I submitted yesterday addressing concerns that some people in Blanding have about splitting the community had a slightly higher deviation of about plus or minus like 2% deviation, plus or minus 1% in each district. And the second one, I think, went as high as 4%. But both of those plans are still within the rule of thumb of plus or minus 5%. So I think they would be okay from the standpoint of one person, one vote. However, there may be other issues that have been noticed that would not make them acceptable. The option A plan, the option C plan puts most of Blanding in District 1, and District 2 is no longer in Blanding, but as Leonard Gorman mentioned, that then makes District 2 span the entire county from the Arizona line all the way to Grand County, and that's a lot of territory to cover. It's very different compared to the court order plan. And District 3 as well, under the commission plan, is very different in the sense that it also goes way north, right up to the Census Bureau's boundary for LaSalle. And I can't remember the highway number up there, but it goes way north. And that was all necessary just to balance the population out, because once you put most of Blanding in District 1 under option C, and indeed once you put all of it in District 1 under option D, in order to balance the population out, the land area for Districts 2 and 3 has to expand to pick up additional population. And in fact, if you put all of the land in District 1, then really the only possible way to do that is, and still sort of comply with the judge's order and keep the districts two majority Native American districts, you have to split these town of Monticello right down Highway 191 right through the middle, because otherwise District 3 would be underpopulated. So the maps are online, and you can look at the PDFs and get some idea of how things have been divided up, or get much more detail by going to the interactive map at the link to Dave's redistricting application. And I've put those both options A, B, C, and D on Dave's redistricting application. And the links are in, I think they're posted on the website that Mac put together. And if not, they're also in the memorandum that I gave the commissioners that just briefly describes the districts. I will point out that options A and B don't move very many voters around at all. Option C moves a lot, and option D moves even more. So that is a factor to consider, in the sense that a lot of people would be voting in new districts, particularly voters in Blanding and Monticello, as with at least Monticello with respect to option D. So if anybody has any, I'm happy to answer questions rather than just kind of talking with no definitive end. So feel free to interrupt me or ask me a question right at this moment, and I'll try to answer. I draw lots of voting plans, and I did develop a bunch during the litigation of the county commission lawsuit back in really from a period of about 2012 to 2018. And I've been in San Juan County on several occasions. So I kind of have a feel for it, but nothing like you guys who live there. So fire away with any questions you may have.
Any question?
Mr. Cooper, this is Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
On the maps, you've got some of the colors solid and some of the colors checkered. Tell me what the difference is.
Okay, this is if you're looking at this map in front of us, that shading really just depicts the federal lands along the river, and some of it would also include Canyonlands Park. But if you get to the zoom maps where you see shading, where I was like this map, that then shows areas that have been shifted in say we're looking at option B, so that shows areas that were shifted from one district to another in option B from the 2018 court-ordered plan. And this is zoomed out, so I don't actually show anything here in terms of the population moved and from which district to which district. But if you then go on to another set of maps, you will then see a zoom on these areas and actually see the number of people who are shifted. So here, with option B for the commission, you see that, well, yeah, zooming in back on the other, but you can see that I moved, that I can't pronounce it, the Hvac chapter from District 2 into District 3 in effort to balance the population. Here you can see I just really just shifted one block in Monticello. Now we're back to another shift. And that again is the chapter shift where 49 people were shifted from Commission District 2 into 3. In the original plan I drew, option A, this chapter was still in District 2, and I had shifted White Mesa into District 3. In option B, White Mesa stays in District 2. Frankly, there's not a lot of difference between Commission Option A and Commission Option B. Minor differences as I sort of tried to sync things up with School Board District, School Board Option B. But for the most part, the areas are the same. School Board Option B, of course, is different because I corrected the incumbent conflict in District 4 and also shifted Whitehorse back into District 4.
I'm still not quite sure I understand what the checkered part of the map means. Does that mean it was, if it's checkered, it was shifted from one district to another one?
Yeah, yes, exactly. All that area would have been shifted from one district to another. And if you here you don't really see the actual number of people or which district it was shifted from or to.
I understand that.
Yeah,
I just
Try to find one.
I just wondering.
Exactly.
So on the option B for the commission district, you got checkered portions in the green and checkered portions in the red. So
right.
the green, it shifts people into District 3 that were in a different district, or
exactly. What this shows, the shaded areas are areas that were shifted from the boundaries in the 2018 plan to the boundaries under this particular option. And on the zoomed in maps, then you see the actual number of people who are shifted in that shaded area, because some of the shaded areas are large, like the Untitled Chapter, apologies for not pronouncing that correctly, which covers a large area, but it only has 49 people, whereas there are blocks in the city of Blanding that have 49 people, within just a city block. Census blocks and city blocks don't always line up, but frequently they do. So here you can see in the northwest quadrant of the Blanding area there, not part of the municipality itself, but still kind of encapsulating part of Blanding area. 395 people were shifted from District 2 to District 1. Some of them are actually in Blanding, and others are outside in just outside the city limits. Most of that area that is shaded there that went from D2 into D1 actually, according to the Census Bureau, is unpopulated. I will point out also, and we won't go into great detail on this, but the Census Bureau did something this time that they've never done before, and that is, in order to protect privacy, at the census block level, they have shifted people around using a computer algorithm. So they might move one person who is of voting age from one block to the house across the street. And so if you look at the block level data for your very census block, you may be a little bit surprised, and you will see that there are more people or maybe fewer people than you thought were really there. And that's not because of a miscount, it's because of this objective of the Census Bureau to protect privacy. Once these blocks are then aggregated together into entire districts, that misallocation tends to disappear. So it's not going to have much impact on the underlying population in the overall districts in the county. But at the census block level, you may spot some areas that don't quite add up at the census block level with what you know to be the reality in April of 2020. Of course, we're 1 year removed from that, so people do move around anyway over time. But the 2020 census really is much closer to Judge Shelby's decision than the 2010 census was. By then, populations had shifted, and now maybe not so much. It was only a year ago. Did that help, Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Any other question? Are you, Mr. Cooper, are you planning on public hearing?
Well, I hope to be able to conduct the hearing via Zoom. I would love to be out there, but I'm getting hit from all sides with groups that I've promised to assist in redistricting. And I hesitate to, in this jammed time period, take any trips. I'd like to come out there for a long time, frankly, but I'm available to do Zoom sessions for whatever schedule you, the commissioners, want, as well as do Zoom meetings in the areas where there are chapter meetings and people want to ask questions about the map and or suggest their changes so that additional options can be developed. And I'm certainly available to produce additional options. It would help, though, if folks gave me some ideas. Obviously, Leonard has given me some ideas today with his information that I haven't seen yet. But frankly, I think I will let Leonard's plan stand as it is. There's no reason for me to change that in any way. But I could then, upon suggestions of others, maybe tweak it in some fashion. But I will take it as is. Leonard is, he's done a lot of voting plans and worked a lot with census data. So he's exceptional in that regard. Most communities would not have somebody who had done that much redistricting work who's not part of the city government.
I will send you I received his email this morning and hadn't checked, but we'd been in meetings since 9. And so I'll send you his plans so you can take a look at those as well and incorporate those into your Dave system to see what everything totals out.
Exactly. Yeah. And I can run off some PDF maps also that would depict those maps. It sounds like Leonard has made a lot of changes. So maybe it would be better just to do general PDF maps like I did with option C and D, where there were lots of changes. And then also Dave's redistricting application for detailed review. Dave's redistricting application is not hard to understand. It may seem a little daunting at first. And it may not be that easy to develop your own plan on it, but it's certainly useful for looking at a plan. You can go right down to the census block level. The streets are a little hard to see, unfortunately, but I guess there's nothing that can be done about that. You can see the lines, but sometimes it's hard. You really have to strain, or at least I do, to see the name of the street. But most of the streets are in there.
I think that's one of the things we're looking at, as well as and you pointed it out as well in some of your mapping, is leaving areas that are within another district completely incongruent with the area itself. And so there's some fine tuning that we have, but I have Leonard's PDFs, and I believe he zipped shape files as well to help with this. And so I'll get you those.
Right. Leonard and I use the same software, so it'll work fine, and I won't have any problem just converting it into the same kind of maps right now that I've done previously. They can always be improved upon, but at least that's what we'll do for starters.
And then you had the public comment regarding the school board district in District 5 with the stacking or the unpacking of that, not stacking, but unpacking. So you packed that district. And so I don't know if you've had an opportunity to think through that in option B. That was your latest and greatest for the school district.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I didn't really try to pack it. Actually, option B moves fewer voters than option A did for the school board. So it's very similar to the court ordered plan, but no plan's perfect, and certainly the population could be balanced out in some other fashion that would avoid the packing with the high percentage of indigenous voters in District 5.
Yeah, you're 18 and plus. In your shift, it totals 185 in your 18 and plus indigenous population there, whereas your other districts have fewer. I don't know if that's what he's seeing.
Yeah, I think you're looking at 185 here. That is the number that was shifted from 5 into 3. And part of that, though, is because I had to find population to put into District 3 to reduce the population in District 5, and then move additional population from 3 into 4. But there may very well be, I'm sure there are ways, and Leonard apparently has done a plan that accomplishes that would not have such a high percentage of voters in District 5 compared to Districts 3 and 4. Native American voters anyway. So we'll take a look at that. And of course, the commission is under no obligation to accept any plan I do. You can accept Leonard Gorman's plan, or, and I'm just speaking myself, that's my understanding, and the county attorney may have different opinion, or the plan of any citizen, as long as it's properly drawn in terms of one person, one vote, and in line with the opinion of Judge Shelby, which was opinion rendered just, it was rendered almost 3 years ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
But the U.S., what is it, the 10th Circuit didn't sign off on it until last summer, I think.
Correct.
Mac?
Commissioner Maryboy.
Yes, Mac. Sitting here listening, and the concerns that are being brought, I'm thinking, is there a way that you and Cooper can maybe schedule a date to set up a public hearing to where we could do Zoom? Since Mr. Cooper is swamped with work, I know that he's doing a good job, and if you could suggest maybe a couple of dates, because to be voted to act on this particular plan, it's already coming soon. So is there a way that you can maybe set up a public hearing so that people can maybe have a better understanding of what's going on?
Absolutely. It's required. And so we will definitely, and I like that suggestion of doing it on Zoom where we still have COVID. There are still limitations within the Navajo Nation
Yes.
on totals of capacity in a gathering, in group gatherings. And so this Zoom may be probably the best option right now under the pandemic to meet in and host these public hearings. We could have one for, well, we can have one for everybody, and regardless of location, as long as you have internet accessibility. They do have that at the chapters houses, so we could publicize it. They also have the capabilities to zoom in and zoom out on there. So yeah, we can definitely work it through. It's highly recommended.
Yeah, and I can certainly participate in almost any meeting at almost any time while I have tons of work coming hither and yon from all angles all over the map. I'm pretty flexible in terms of my schedule, so I can certainly meet with you guys at a time of your choosing, including weekends. No problem there.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Any further question or comments? There being none. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Well, thank you. And I may leave the meeting a little earlier today than I have in past, just because of all the work that's coming my way with respect to redistricting and other places too. But I will take a look at Mr. Gorman's maps and run them through my system and put them on Dave's redistricting application within the next, well, certainly by Saturday at the latest.
Okay. You had asked for attendance zones as well. I don't know, Lyman,
Yes,
do we have that? Or maybe...
I'm not aware we do, but I can ask the schools.
So is it school boundaries or it what is it specifically? Nobody's familiar with the attendance zones term.
Well, yeah, just like I guess the last meeting or maybe the meeting before last, it was pointed out that that White Mesa, the students there attend schools in Blanding, and it would just be useful to know, exactly which students and which areas of the county do feed into Blanding and which areas feed into Whitehorse, because you could make modifications with the boundaries to take that into account so that voters are linked in with their school board member.
Okay.
So I mean, you can never get it perfect, but
school boundaries.
That's named.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe bus routes would give us a hint if nobody really has a map.
Oh no, there's a lot of bus routes through here, and so
yeah.
There are no distinct boundaries, so you just have to talk about it.
Okay. We'll get with the school district superintendent and work through those so we can try to produce something for you. Because I know that was been a concern. In outside of Monticello, you have that school district representation, and the schools. So
right.
Okay, we can definitely work on that one.
I guess that would be complete your presentation, Mr. Cooper. Thank you very much. And I'll be looking out, listening out for the Zoom schedule. public hearing, whenever it comes out, so,
Yeah.
so,
I think the thing to do is get in touch with the office of Navajo Utah Commission, and also maybe leave the messages at the chapter, so that way all the public within the 7 chapters can listen in.
Yeah.
And maybe possibly ask questions at the same time.
Yeah, we can definitely work with all of them. And then on these options that literally will not work legally, will not work, we'll drop them off. Because if it's not a viable solution, I don't want to continue to present them and have options A through F as being part of it. Because if legally if they don't meet all of the requirements from the court order, then I don't think it's necessary that we continue to present them if there's issues with them. And so let's try to get the best alternatives to you that actually work. And so where they had mentioned like Blanding's request, and it's attached in here if anybody wants to see Blanding's request, to isolate themselves where legally that won't work, then, why show maps that have that? If that makes sense.
Yeah, option A probably should be off the table, just due to the incumbent conflict.
Yeah, and then option A on the school board district, same thing, where you have
option A on the school board. Option A on the commission still has some viability.
Okay. Yeah, but options C and D, if those have an issue with community of interest, if it doesn't pass that, then why have those? Okay, we'll give it another try, commissioners.
thank you again.
Oh, okay, thank you. See you next time.
All right.
Thank you, Cooper.
Thank you.
Next would be action item. No, yeah, action item.
Let's see. So we are on business action item number 5, consideration and approval of a truck purchase by TJ Adair, road superintendent.
Motion.
This request is, as everybody knows, it's really hard to get vehicles right now with the shortage of vehicles. And this was a lease truck that we had that we've got the option to buy because we can't replace it. You can't even get them off the lots right now. And so this is just a purchase of a lease that we had that we'd like to get approved through the road department.
This will cancel any remaining warranty, right?
Well, there's still a factory warranty on it because it doesn't have over the mileage yet, or it's only got 22,000 miles on it. So this is just from the dealer saying that they don't have a warranty from that dealership. The big reason for that is it wasn't really a dealership; it was a leasing company, and so they don't warranty it anyway. You'd take it back to Ford if you needed to warranty it. So they're just saying that if you bring it back to them, we're not going to do anything for you.
Okay.
Did I hear a motion from Mr. Maryboy?
Motion, yeah.
Second.
Okay. Any further question? There be none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed, motion carries.
Thanks, commissioners.
You don't have to go get it then, huh?
No.
They're screaming at us right now to give us the vehicles back. And this one was a deal. He could turn around and flip this truck now and make $10,000 off of it just by selling it outright on surplus. And so it's getting more difficult from these leasing companies to get the F-350s right now with the chip
Only
supply.
22,000 miles? How long do you have it?
Year,
Just a year?
1 year lease.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the book on it, if we get our trucks ordered, we can buy them. We'll take this one and trade it in, and we're 12,000 side of it. So it saves us some money when we trade it in on the new ones, but they could be up to 8 months out.
So we've got 2 of the F-150s coming now to provide his fleet, and those are leases for $4,500 for both of those trucks. It'll give us a good test to see if we can go kind of a smaller model of vehicle, less expensive in fuel, see how that works for the road department. But you'll be seeing that.
This one was a 350.
Yeah, this one's a 350. We'll be ratifying that. We need to enter into that lease here quickly with Bancorp for the F-250s, and then we're working on some leases with other vehicles that'll hopefully come next commission meeting as well. We're struggling to get vehicles though.
Okay. Next, number 6. And
Consideration and adoption of updated drug-free workplace policy.
So this one is actually something that Walter started before he left. So I'm just finishing it up, getting it through here. It's gone to USIP. They've approved it. Kendall's looked at it. So it includes volunteers. It uses the term drug consistently now instead of intermixing it with illegal substance. Updates the definition of a drug to match the Utah Local Entity Drug-Free Workplace Act definition. Revises the testing section into 2 sections, one where we might test and one where we will test. And then adds added information on how to handle an employee reporting use of a prescription drug that may impair their ability to perform safety-sensitive functions. It also adds a section on the discipline that can occur. So discipline procedure for substance abuse may include probation upon successful rehabilitation or immediate termination. So it gives us options there to work with an employee, or if it's a consistent repeat offender or a problem, gives us the ability to proceed with termination. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I make a motion that we
Motion.
adopt this policy.
second?
Second.
Okay. Question, comments?
You have one question.
Yes.
If somebody is found violating this policy, you have to go back through an orderly termination process, or can you immediately dismiss them?
I'm going to guess we have to go through an orderly termination process. That's per the USIP. All county employees who are merit employees who've been here more than 6 months full time have a right to their wages, and they have a right to be heard before we do anything that affects their wages. So they would still have to be heard, but we can put them on unpaid leave pending the predetermination hearing and the outcome of whatever that hearing is.
So you have to tell them what they're doing wrong, and give them a chance to rehabilitate themselves, and then...
So I would have to let them know that we had a positive drug test, what they tested positive for, that we are putting them on unpaid leave pending a predetermination hearing. Mm-hmm. They would come in, have the right to be heard, so they would talk to their department head, me, Mac, county attorney, basically plead their case as to why we should not terminate them. And then based on the outcome of that hearing, we would proceed with whatever disciplinary action came from that hearing.
If any.
If any.
Yeah, there are some, and Ann had mentioned this, is there are some prescription drugs that may manifest as a positive on a drug test. And so if you were just to automatically terminate and then they sued the county for wrongful termination because they're on something that's medically
There's some
prescribed.
ADHD medications that will show positive for like amphetamines And so if they pop positive for an amphetamine and you just terminate them and they come back and say, well, my doctor prescribed me this and I'm taking it legally, then we wrongfully terminated. That's the reason for.
So the hearing and the investigation, all of that still is necessary instead of just you're out now. But we do, with this, separate from what we have currently, this allows us to put them on administrative leave and go through that process rather than try rehab and things like that.
Currently, our policy states our only option is to, if you get a positive test, then we have to send them to a rehab counselor. If they recommend rehabilitation, then they have to complete rehab, negative drug test, and then we bring them back to work. That's our only option with the current policy, where this one gives us additional options on top of that, where we can choose to put them on probation and go through that process, or we can choose to terminate. And it really depends on what the circumstances are behind that positive drug test. If it's somebody who does not perform a safety sensitive function, we can probably work through rehabilitation. But if I had somebody operating heavy equipment, a sheriff's officer out on the road who tested positive, I think, there should be other consequences for that, where that could endanger someone else. So
There have been two separate incidents that I'm aware of where somebody was on a prescription painkiller, ran out of the painkiller, and were in Salt Lake or someplace else, so they just went out on the street and bought some cocaine. Then they tested positive for cocaine, but they did that because they needed the painkiller.
cocaine is illegal regardless. I mean, they can come in and try to plead that case.
I was in a lot of pain.
Bruce, come on. No.
Instead of seeking out the painkiller,
So
upgraded.
That, honestly, it really is a case by case basis. But in that particular case, I would say cocaine is illegal regardless of why you use it. So we could choose to send somebody to rehab and put them on unpaid probation until, or we could choose to terminate. Commissioner Maryboy has a question.
One case, the employee was fired. The other case, they let him off the hook, retained him.
Kenneth Maryboy.
No, I think Bruce kind of hit it there. That's what I was going to ask, sir.
Well, in cases where they test positive, a person tests positive, and you recommend a rehab treatment, they refuse, automatic termination.
That would be accepted as a resignation. If we recommend rehab and they refuse to go, then they resign their position. So because as a condition for them to maintain employment, they would have to complete rehab. And if they're refusing to fulfill that condition, they're resigning their position.
Yeah. Court ordered.
If it's court ordered and they don't do it, that's out of my hands. That has to go to the court, not through me. So
that's why in the
well, I think the court ordered anybody concerned individual can refer.
Yes.
To the court.
Yep.
And you become involved.
Yeah. So if I were to refer it to the court, then I would be involved. If it was something outside of what I did, though, if somebody else referred them and they were court ordered to go to rehab, that's outside of the county's scope for discipline. But outside of the scope of this policy, this is reasonable suspicion. A department head feels like somebody in their department is coming to work and they're under the influence, and we go to a test, comes back positive. It gives us the option to either go rehab or termination. Or if somebody comes back on a random, it gives us that same.
Nearest testing facility, what do we use?
I go test. I have the certification to do the drug tests, and I usually go to them and do them. For our randoms that happen once a quarter for all of our safety sensitive, I perform those, and then we send them to clinical clinical services laboratory, I want to say, and Blue Line Services is the medical record officer, medical review
Somebody
officer.
Suspected of having used alcohol on the job, then they're tested at the sheriff's office or where?
I can test them for that as well.
Tested for that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All the questions I have, Commissioner.
You have any more questions, Mr. Maryboy?
No, I don't.
If not, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Next,
Consideration and approval of the fiscal year 2022 Violence and Injury Prevention Program grant with the State of Utah Department of Health, San Juan County.
Hey, Grant.
Good to see you, commissioners.
Doctor.
So as Max said, the first item here, Violence and Injury Prevention Program grant. This has 2 parts. The first is focused on maternal and child health and would specifically fund our county's participation in the Utah Safe Kids Coalition. There's a variety of things that the Safe Kids Coalition promotes: seat belts, safe car seats, and there is a focus on bullying prevention. And then the second part, speaking of actually, just on the community level, overdose data to action. So there's this focus right now on opioid misuse and prevention, and there's potential for overlap with other addictions as well. And this would focus on both collecting data and acting on data. So that's the 2 parts. And you can see the amounts. This is federal funding that would be reimbursed based on any activities that we take that are approved within the grant. Total $32,435 approximately, and that breaks it into 2 parts: $10,280 for the maternal child health, again that Safe Kids part, and then $22,155 approximately for the Utah Overdose Data to Action. Any questions you have? Comments?
Will this grant opportunity
Motion.
require you to hire additional employees?
Not this one, not this. This is more funding our existing employees to be involved in this way and to, again, collect and act on those data for the opioid piece.
Mr. Adams' motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kenneth Maryboy.
Trying to make Anne Marie's job easier.
Any further question?
Yep.
If not, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, you got consideration and approval of childhood lead poisoning prevention and surveillance for 2021 through 2026 contract with the State of Utah.
So this childhood lead poisoning prevention is focused on promoting existing free resources, as well as keeping track of where the issues are in the county related to childhood lead poisoning exposures. And so really promoting and getting people connected with resources so that kids do not have excess exposure to lead. Definitely a serious issue that can have lifelong consequences. So total funding here, again, similar federal funding that would be reimbursed based on our activities within the grant, $7,154, not require county match, and would not be funding additional employees, but would be activities that our existing employees would be involved in.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Question, comment?
Yeah, are you aware of this being a problem in the county in any particular location right now?
This is something I'm not familiar with yet as a newcomer, but definitely on my radar, and it would be under our health promotion director, to oversee this, but also our nursing director would be involved too to make sure we're all taking care of it. But yeah, I can report back as I learn more.
I think you may, as you look at lead-based paint, some of the older paints has been used in buildings, housing units. It's making sure that people are aware of lead-based paint. You still have toys that are manufactured in other countries that still have lead based materials in them. So there still is this presence that you have to educate for because of that.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know of any unusually high issues yet, but I will definitely look into it.
Any further questions? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. There being none, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. Next, number 9.
Consideration and approval of public health crisis response workforce supplemental grant contract for FY 2021 through 2023 with the State of Utah Department of Health.
So this is a broadly written grant in terms of what was opportunities for the county. It can be broad as far as if we have a need around hiring new personnel to address crisis response, but can also be related to expanding existing capacity around training, creating pipeline programs, say for students to get trained into public health crisis response related positions. This does have the total amount in federal funding that would be again reimbursed, $159,977. But I do have a bit of clarification in addition to what I put in the written version here. We have proposed, and this has been approved from the grant, to focus on training for current and new personnel to increase our pandemic response readiness. Some of this is for some equipment, office supplies, as well as crisis response software, equipment, again, to expand our current capacity and skills. And we estimate that this would cost around $147,000, so approximately $40,000 less than what is available to us through federal funding.
Motion? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or question? There be none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, commissioners.
You a full-time resident of the county now?
2 days.
2 days?
2 days.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Thank you for checking
Good.
in. We're so close.
They're all here, and the U-Haul is here, but
Oh, all right.
everything's ready for the closing. Yeah, that's awesome. So the next one on your agenda is consideration and approval of the interlocal agreement for the Westwater infrastructure design with the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority for Westwater design. As a reminder, we did this, San Juan County, I did apply for $40,000. You had entered into a principal forgiveness agreement for this project with the State of Utah Division of Drinking Water. This is related with it as we get the funds. We applied for the funds. We get the funds. Now we're the pass-through entity to NTUA. That's really only our role in all of this, is the pass-through of the funds. Because of the state requirements, NTUA couldn't apply directly to the state for the funds, and so we've done it in their behalf. There's an additional tranche of design funding that we've applied for in behalf of NTUA on this project. that will come at a later date, but all of this kind of sets up the structure for us to be the pass-through on the design for this project.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any comment?
I'd like to make a comment.
Bruce?
Have you heard
Go ahead.
anything about the committee meeting on the appropriation bill?
I haven't heard anything directly. There is a concern with the overall funding amount for this project. So there's been commitments from last year from the state of Utah, and I think it was about $500,000 that the state of Utah put in. The Navajo Nation put in $500,000. LDS Church has put in an amount, and then the Navajo Nation has also put in an amount. And that was to fund the entire project. Unfortunately, as we get into the project, the costs have exceeded all of those amounts. Obviously, just in design, it's going to take a lot. Blanding is applying for the water system, which will go adjacent to their water purity system there in Blanding, and so you kind of have a bigger well that's going in to help provide water for this in Blanding and their sanitation system there, so you have filtered water coming out of Blanding. And so there's that piece to it instead of a well directly in Westwater. So that benefits the project, but overall total costs are getting pretty high to where there's a bunch of red flags being raised. Lieutenant Governor made a commitment to help with providing funding. I just don't know if everybody's gonna.
Well, a committee meeting was a couple of weeks ago, and Senator Hinkins and Representative Lyman were both representing the project in the committee hearing, and I've been told that the request from the legislature was in the neighborhood of $10 million. And Commissioner Lyman and Senator Hinkins came out of that meeting bloodied up and black-eyed.
I'll bet $10 million is a huge ask for a small community.
You're talking about $10 million request for 19 homes and approximately 39 residents.
Yeah.
And so the people on the committee were not kind, to say the least, to the senator and the representative. So I don't know what that means. But
Understandable. Yeah. Yep. They're still trying to work out the water shares on here, so there's still that aspect. I know that they've reached out to the San Juan Water Conservation Board for an appropriation, an allocation of shares to it. One of the questions that came out from that board meeting as well, where this is the Navajo Nation's property, can the Navajo Nation use some of their allocated shares from the settlement agreement and lease those shares or give those shares to Westwater community? So there's still some things that we have to work out. Meanwhile, where this is the design funds, we know that there are design funds set aside that we can use and utilize for the project, but having it come to fruition, there's going to have to be some give and take, I think, in the design that we work through, but that's a huge ask. So there's still a lot of hurdles to get past on here, but I think at least being at this point in time with Westwater community and having these discussions is a lot further ahead than where we've been in the past. If that helps any.
Any further question? Kenneth? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 11.
Okay, the next item on your agenda is a consideration and approval of the vendor contract with Moab Heat and Cool LLC in San Juan County for HVAC upgrades. Total amount of this contract would be around $50,616.12 of the CARES Act funds, the remaining CARES Act funds. As we sat down and allocated money out to specific areas, this is one of them that we mentioned that we needed to upgrade our HVAC equipment. This is in the IT area where we have all of the new servers and components in that area, and we have a broken heating and air conditioning system in there. The components are getting too hot. That needs additional cooling, and so this will allow for that, as well as in the economic development wing. They're on a swamp cooler. A lot of the CARES Act funds can be targeted specifically to combating COVID. And one of the things that we realize with the spread of COVID in these areas is the lack of airflow in specific areas causes problems, keeps that COVID flying in the air. And so with these changes, we'll be able to get a little bit better air circulation in that wing of the economic development area as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Adams. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further questions? There be none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay. Motion carries, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, reports.
You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Last week, I spent most of the week down to St. George at the Hvac convention. I thought it was really a good opportunity to network with other counties, and I thought it was a worthwhile conference. This week, on Friday, I'm going to Moab to make a presentation to the Transportation Commission. And my presentation is why Eastern Utah needs a 4-lane highway. So I have a slideshow and some statistics and some studies that UDOT has done themselves about this being a freight corridor up through 191 and Highway 6 in Price Canyon. And so hopefully they'll listen. And I know that yesterday there was a large infrastructure bill passed. So that infrastructure bill has a lot of money that'll be coming to Utah for highway upgrades. So hopefully they'll keep in mind Eastern Utah when they allocate funds from this infrastructure bill. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Mr. Maryboy. Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I will be around this week. Last week, I made a trip up to Wind Rock on several issues. The other one is the negotiating with the NTUA on some of the new routes that they have here in San Juan County on the reservation site. And then the other one is I went and attended the Veterans celebration in Wind Rock, and people were very, very happy to see a lot of the former delegates out and mangling with people. And of course, people were practicing social distancing. And that was one event that I had, and they had me do a little bit of report on the county, on San Juan County, which I did. That was quite interesting. And this week, I plan to make it up to Moab as well, and maybe even out into Salt Lake. But I'll be around, and I will continue to be paying a visit to Window Rock. So that's the extent of my report.
Thank you. Well, been busy looking at the roads most of the time. Too much travel.
Too much travel. Yeah.
We had what do we have? On the 7th, daylight time change. And I have to get up earlier than usual. And that's still a problem for me.
At least the sun's up when you get up.
No, sun is still down.
Still down when you get up.
This morning I had to
Down when you
get up
get home.
at 6 o'clock. Not even a red streak was there.
That means you're supposed to stay in
And
bed.
we had I think we're doing good on the budget. I think I don't know with the budget adjustments. I think there's two positions that I would like to see. One is the attorney. The other one is county assessor. I think the county assessor is necessary to immediately put in place so they can go out and turn every rock over, see how much money there are under the rocks that we haven't seen yet. And I traveled. Well, we had a meeting here. I traveled going northwest, stayed in Green River on the 8th, and I went on to St. George on the 9th. So it was good. I liked the session. I was very impressed with the attorneys represent in this lawsuit against manufacturers, distributors, whatnot, on the opioid, yeah. And man, it was, I don't know how long it'd take, but it'll come to some conclusion pretty soon. The other one is the infrastructure funds. The way it was presented, that it's going to be out sometime soon. And those fundings are to be within 5 years be expanded. So I guess sort of like if you have a project and it's emergency, then you can spend. If not, then you can go second year, third year, fourth year and develop your projects and spend those monies. Right?
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I didn't go to any of those dinners. Of course, it was raw fish on the first night, Wednesday night. So
Sushi.
gets my religion.
The sushi's against your religion. Huh? That was good. That was a good meal.
But I guess Bruce had my share, I hope. But second Thursday, I fell asleep. I went back to my room. I fell. It was too late to go hunt for any rabbit that evening, so I just ate without any supper. Next day, I was doing some work, so Friday night. So I didn't get to go to those functions. Anyway, that's my story, and I'll stick with it. This afternoon at 2 o'clock, we're having Jones and DeMille, Mr. Brian Martin, and from 7 County, Mike McKee, Executive Director. We're going to be talking about project alignment, road connection between San Navajo Mountain and Plateau. So it'll be, if you're interested, stay tuned. Right here. I was supposed to.
Mr. Chair?
I mentioned it.
Yeah.
But
You'll be here.
yeah, good. So we'll be talking about. I'd like to. I think Scoop is working. Has worked with us on the Beaver Spring project, which you mentioned. What, 20,000?
Yeah. That
From where?
that continues. That's the NRF project. So the Navajo Revitalization
Oh, okay.
funds are distributed. That's been sitting in account, and it continues to pay for the design fees that Jones and DeMille incurs. And they've been working for
Yeah.
to finalize
Hopefully,
that project to get it going.
We developed a brief proposal for a lot of projects that we lining up. So like
Yeah.
surface those and get it on the table and see what. I don't know what kind of dollars the Navajo Nation will be receiving under that infrastructure monies.
So yesterday on the Navajo Nation's Facebook feed with President Nez was back there for the signing of the infrastructure bill with President Biden. In there, they break out the total amounts that the Navajo Nation has allocated to each of those funds, whether it's road improvements or broadband. So they have those amounts on that page. I can look them up and send them to you.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. That's about it. From here,
Mr. Chair?
I'll be hanging around tomorrow.
Mr. Chair?
Hold on. Tomorrow and also in the following day, I'll be heading towards Price for 7 County meetings. So. With that, Mr. Maryboy, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay, Mr. Chair. I was just going to offer help from the two of you. Draft a letter. Our chapter coordinator for many years has done a lot of work and has done a lot of good deeds. And we sure hate to see her go, but she left Martha Sag from Mexican Water. She's done a lot for the community, and I just thought maybe as a commission we would draft her some kind of a thank you letter for the service of time that she's given to the community, and also have given to the Utah Navajos in San Juan County. And that's, if it's okay, maybe Matt can draft a really good letter and see if we commission can sign off on it and send it to her.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Bruce.
With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. Kenneth.
Are you still?
Kenneth,
Yes.
are you still on?
Yes,
Second?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, second.
Kenneth, I sent you a text. I found you some wood.
Yes. As a matter of fact, Cheryl and I are headed out that way in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, all those in
All right.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay? None. Motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Go ahead and use my sent.
Oh, thanks, Commissioner. Appreciate it, man.